Starting off our list at number 10 is Miley Cyrus and Emily Osment. I remember reading in a magazine when I was in high school that these girls weren't friends in real life, and I was pretty crushed. They played each other's best friends on the Disney show Hannah Montana, where they were practically sisters on the show. Emily's character Lily ends up moving in with Miley's family. They were that close. But apparently off screen, the two girls didn't get along with each other. Miley wrote an autobiography called Miles to Go, where she spoke about her relationship with Emily and her character Lily. She said, I quote, "The show felt real to me and I wanted my relationship with Lily to feel real too. I know it didn't have to, show business is show business, but I was disappointed. There were times when I didn't think we could ever be friends. We just couldn't figure out how to get along." It was reported that the two actors were actually constantly fighting with each other and easily became frustrated with one another while on set. Well, you know what they say, sisters fight. As the show progressed though, the two of them were able to find a common ground. They aren't necessarily friends these days since they are both working on different things, but Emily still supports Miley's music and even showed up to one of her concerts a few years ago. In at number 9 is Selena Gomez and Jake T. Austin. Selena first started on Barney and then danced around through Disney sitcoms and ended up on the hit series Wizards of Waverly Place. Selena and Jake played siblings throughout the series, which made their characters pretty equal. The show started out by really focusing on their whole family, but Selena's personal career started to blow up and her part in the show got bigger than Jake's. It probably wasn't personal, but it's just facts. You can see that her screen time increases throughout the seasons. She practically becomes the lead of the show. Rumors started to fly that Jake wasn't too thrilled about it. Could have just been a jealousy thing. Selena eventually made the decision to move on from the show, and Jake coincidentally tweeted during that time saying, I quote, "When artists' definition of growing with their fans is creating content they aren't even allowed to see." Yikes, little bro is throwing down some shade. Down the road though, many years later, we have seen photos surface of the whole cast reuniting and hanging out, so maybe they were able to work it out. Swiping the number 8 spot is Raven-Symoné and the Cheetah Girls. Who could forget when one of our favorite Disney girl groups fell apart? That was such a tragic time in my life. It was no secret that Raven was a complete star at the time. Let's be honest, she was the most famous one of the group. She starred on The Cosby Show, hanging with Mr. Cooper, and even had the lead role on her own hit TV series That's So Raven. So it wasn't all that surprising when we found out that she had some tension with the other 3 girls. Raven spoke about their girl group time together and said, "It was weird putting together young women our ages 19 to 22, one of whom had not been in the mix. I'll be honest, there were territorial issues, there were catfights. It was not all peaches and cream off camera." This all makes sense, seeing as Raven basically said peace out and didn't show up for the final full-length movie Cheetah Girls One World, which was basically just a huge bummer for us fans because she's really the one that we wanted to see. No offense, girls. Next up at number 7 is Zendaya and Bella Thorne. The two beauties played best friends on the Disney show Shake It Up, but apparently struggled when it came to being friends off screen. Bella opened up about the relationship during filming and blamed the people involved in the show for causing unnecessary tension between them. Bella told J14, "Zendaya and I were put in a very unfortunate position where we were kind of forced to compete against each other, which made the whole first season of the show just very awkward for us. We wanted to love each other, but yet we were constantly being put against each other. It was always who's better at this and who's better at that. However, after the show ended and the two of them started their own individual careers, you never really saw them together. I think that we can all admit that Bella lives a more wild lifestyle than Zendaya now, but the two of them now have only nice things to say about each other, and both of them are a huge success, so there's really no competition going on here. Coming into the number 6 spot is Ross Lynch and Laura Marano. The two of them starred together and both took the lead roles in the series Austin and Ally. Rumors were always going around that maybe they were like dating in real life or had crushes on each other, but apparently it was the opposite. During an interview with J14, Ross was asked if he would ever date Laura, and he responded with, "Laura and I are kind of like a married couple. We argue a lot about who is always right. That happens a lot on set." He wasn't lying either, because Laura also agreed, saying, I quote, "It's kind of true." Apparently they bickered so much that when they joined the cast of Jessie, you could tell that the other cast members felt uncomfortable about their bickering. Laura admitted, I quote, "You could tell how awkward they felt. They thought they had to break us up." She went on to say that the bickering and tension is just who they are and it's nothing serious, but it's hard to tell if that's just an excuse or not. I don't know if I'm buying that. Halfway through the list at number 5 is Ashley Tisdale and Lucas Gabriel. This one I found hard to believe because I just love the two of them together, and they seemed like two peas in a pod throughout the entire High School Musical series. Ashley played the bossy girl Sharpay Evans, which seemed to annoy Lucas, who played her twin brother Ryan Evans. She said that when the two of them first started filming, he didn't seem to like her because he thought she was just like her character. She told People magazine, "We would hardly talk to each other because when I was auditioning for Sharpay, I screen tested with him and I was acting like Sharpay. I think he was like, who is this girl telling me what to do?" Good news is they were able to get to know each other and ended up becoming good friends. Fans, me, went insane back in 2017 when the two of them reunited on Ashley's YouTube for a duet of their High School Musical song, What I've Been Looking For. Seriously, I almost cried. The two of them joked about how they once actually hated each other. Ashley said, I quote, "We were not close, we were not good friends, we hated each other." And that's when Lucas chimed in right after saying, "Didn't get off on the best foot." But they are finally friends and the Disney world is at peace now. Here at number 4 with Demi Lovato and Selena Gomez. The two of them had a very on and off friendship throughout their time with Disney. Both of them worked their way up the Disney ladder at a young age, sharing screen time on Barney when they were just little tots. They went on to star together in a Disney TV movie called Princess Protection Program, and that's when a boy got in between them. Stupid boys. Reports were made saying that when Justin Bieber entered Selena's life, Demi wasn't a huge fan of him. She didn't really give the best friend approval, and it caused a lot of fights between them. One day a paparazzi asked Demi how Selena was doing, and she quickly responded with, "Ask Taylor Swift." The two of them grew apart, and Demi made one final statement through an iconic tweet, which I still remember to this day. It is a series of pictures of Demi in the water, literally swimming away, and it says, I quote, "Swimming away from your bullshit by." She even unfollowed Selena on Twitter. Well then. The feud wasn't permanent though, and the two girls went on to be good friends. Alright guys, at number 3 is Debbie Ryan and Sky Jackson. They starred alongside each other in the series Jessie, where the two of them seemed to be like the best of pals on the show. The feud started after Demi attended the Kids' Choice Awards. She started tweeting out all about the fun she was having, and a Twitter user asked who she was sitting with, and she said the kids from the cast of Jessie. But then someone else commented saying that they were surprised to hear she was sitting next to Sky since she talked about her. Debbie clearly wasn't aware about this and responded with, "That's sad, but not really my business." According to J14, Sky had a secret Twitter account where she accused her co-star of bullying her. A fan asked Debbie directly about the situation, and she gave a very lengthy response. To sum it up, she said, I quote, "I won't speak about specific people because it's unprofessional to slander coworkers online. But if I had one wish for every child that's an actor, especially those that tend to be the mouthpiece for parental maliciousness, I'd wish for complete contentment, emotional security, and that they'd somehow find joy in telling stories." Damn. Who knew all this drama could happen on a kids show like Jessie? Taking the number 2 spot is Dylan Sprouse and Joe Jonas. Low key, gonna be honest with you guys, I had no idea this ever happened. Like, this is literally new information to me. In 2013, Joe Jonas wrote a first-person essay for Vulture where he shared how he and his brothers, the Joe Bros, felt like they couldn't stand up to the Disney network. He wrote, "We went along with it at the time because we thought Disney was our only real shot, and we were terrified that it could all be taken away from us at any moment." I mean, I think that's fair to say, but apparently Dylan Sprouse didn't. The Sprouse twin shared on his Tumblr what he thought about Joe's essay and said, "I think it's bullshit that they were being robbed of choice or creativity. If they wanted to, they could have told Disney no. Cole and I did this hundreds of times and we ended up alright." He went on to explain that he thinks it's just an excuse, and even went as far as saying the Jonas Brothers, I quote, "fell for the allure of fame." Quite a bold statement to make there, Dylan. Not sure where the two of them stand currently, but reports say they haven't spoken to each other in many years. Today our number 1 spot is Miley Cyrus and Selena Gomez. Both of these ladies have already been on this list with other co-stars, but no one could forget this legendary feud over the one and only Nick Jonas. That's right, these two girls like the same guy at the same time, which we all know at 16 years old is pretty much like the world ending. Selena Gomez was a guest star on Miley's show Hannah Montana, where their characters were always feuding, which was coincidental since off-screen they were always fighting over Nick. It was a silly feud that definitely went too far. Selena teamed up with Demi at the time, and Miley teamed up with her friend Mandy, and the four of them had a battle between YouTube videos where they called each other out and made fun of each other. It was silly and childish, let's be honest, but at the time, it was some serious shade. To make one thing clear though, Miley dated Nick first. But as the Disney stars all grew up, the feud quickly faded. In 2016, Selena told W magazine that the feud was non-existent. She said, "We never feuded, we both liked the same guy when we were 16. It was just a Hilary Duff, Lindsay Lohan thing. Oh my god, we like the same boy. We are now completely settled in our own lives." I mean, I feel like she's kind of downplaying it because the whole thing was silly, but at the time, it was epic. I literally lived for it. Starting off our list at number 10 is Selena Gomez and the Sprouse twins. Maybe you forgot that they all worked together on the show Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. This was actually the twin show, and many people remember Selena for her time on Wizards of Waverly Place, but we all know in the Disney universe, everyone kind of works with everyone. Since the time they filmed together, the boys have come forward admitting they didn't really care for Selena too much while working with her, and claim that she had, I quote, a diva attitude. I guess what happened was Dylan and Cole had initially planned to write and produce the last season of The Sweet Life on deck. Producers didn't care for the idea and came back 2 weeks later proposing the same pitch they did, but with Selena Gomez attached to it, which seems to just touch a nerve with the twins. Turns out that Dylan Sprouse held on to some form of grudge against her and took his feelings to Twitter back in 2013. He tweeted out, I quote, "Oh, I get it, Selena. Too good to follow your old pals Dylan and Cole, huh? This is just like when we were 12. Hashtag never forget." Damn, is he really being salty about her not following them on Twitter? First world problems. And at number 9 is Joe Jonas and Ali Michalka. You would probably know her as AJ though, from her sister duet, Ali and AJ. The two of them only had some bad blood towards each other because they were exes. They started dating after they were on the Cheetah-licious tour back in December 2005. Fans went crazy when they admitted to being each other's first real kiss off screen. However, it was cute for just a little while until they broke up in 2007 and Ali and AJ released a badass jam called Potential Breakup Song. It was obvious that the song was about Joe, and one lyric hit extra close to home for him because it was a true story. The lyric was, "It took too long for you to call back, and normally I would just forget that, except for the fact that it was my birthday, my stupid birthday." Turns out he legitimately forgot to call her on her birthday when they were dating. Yikes. Later down the road he spoke on it saying, "One time my ex-girlfriend sent me a piece of her birthday cake in the mail, and it was an ice cream cake. That's when I knew it was kind of over." Needless to say, it was a pretty messy breakup. Literally. Up next, number 8 is Rowan Blanchard and Uriah Shelton. These two co-stars from the show Girl Meets World. If you haven't seen it, it's a sequel to ABC's 90s hit show Boy Meets World. Real original. Rowan plays the main character on the show, and although the cast always appeared to be very tight-knit, there was one outcast who Rowan apparently didn't care for. Yes, you guessed it, Uriah Shelton. He plays her almost the same age as her uncle. It's a weird concept, I know. And his character kind of comes off a bit douchey, not gonna lie. But it might not be his character after all, because he liked a comment on Instagram that said, "Society doesn't need feminism," which seemed to rub Rowan the wrong way. And many other girls probably, who are probably feminists. Apparently he's posted some other stuff that hasn't really been PC. Rowan's followers started begging her to lay into the guy, but she ended up just taking the high road. She was openly upset with his remarks on the situation, but she never posted any derogatory comments in return. Good for you, girl. Sliding into number 7 is Lindsay Lohan and America Ferrera. Disney owns ABC, so I consider this to be an exception on this list. If we are getting technical, it is a Disney show. And Lindsay is involved, so you know that it's going to be a juicy story. So America plays the lead role of Betty on the sitcom called Ugly Betty, and they actually hired Lindsay for 6 episodes in hopes to boost the ratings. But apparently the two girls hated each other, so her 6 episodes were actually cut down to 4. In the episodes, Lindsay was playing one of Betty's old high school bullies, and Betty finally got even and pulls Lindsay's pants down. I remember being pantsed in grade school. That shit sucked. However, Lindsay didn't read the script beforehand apparently and didn't realize she was going to be pantsed. She was so embarrassed that she started crying, but that was only because she didn't have any underwear on, because she clearly was not prepared for the scene. This caused a whole bunch of tension between the two girls, and apparently ABC and Betty had other issues with Lindsay on set. They said that she was always smoking in her dressing room and showing up late. It was reported that ABC had to repaint her dressing room when she left because of how much she smoked. It like basically cooked hooked into the walls. She left the show earlier than her original booking, and she was never brought back again. And now at number 6 is Miley Cyrus and Nick Jonas, another bad breakup to add to the list. On our part 1 list, I told you guys all about the beef between Selena and Miley because they both had their hearts set on Nick, but Miley ended up winning his heart over first and the two of them dated. The Jo Bros admitted that Miley was Nick's first kiss and first real girlfriend. He was pretty much head over heels for her, but things went sour and they ended up breaking up back in 2008. That is when Miley pulled a Taylor Swift and wrote a song about her ex-boyfriend called 7 Things. Side note, this song is still my jam. I listen to it all the time. But in the song, she lists the 7 things she hates about Nick. There was one cute moment where she listed the 7 things she likes, but the entire video concept is about girls destroying their ex-boyfriend's things. And to make sure Miley got her point across to let Nick know that it was about him, Miley wore Nick's diabetes necklace in the video and even flashes a photo of him to the camera. You know, so that there was no room for any confusion. She wanted to make it as clear as it could be that the song was about him. Halfway through our list at number 5 is Tim Allen and Jonathan Taylor Thomas, also known as JTT. Here's another ABC show that is Disney owned. Come at me, it made it on this list, it counts. They starred together on the hit TV series Home Improvement, which was the most popular comedy show between 1993 to 1994, beating out Seinfeld, Roseanne, and Friends. Now this is based on facts, nothing beats out Friends in my opinion. But anyways, point of the story is there was some beef between the two actors after JTT decided to leave the show out of nowhere to go study abroad. I'm sorry, what? Like he just up and left? Apparently that's how it happened, which made Tim Allen incredibly mad, obviously, when he found out the news. Maybe we wouldn't call this hate, but it was more of that like fatherly disappointment feeling. Things got even worse when JTT declined to show up for the series finale a year later. However, the good news is they were able to work it out, and eventually JTT made a guest appearance on Tim Allen's new show called Last Man Standing. This one has a happy ending. I feel like dads can never stay mad at you for too long. In the number 4 spot is Zac Efron and Vanessa Hudgens. The two of them were best friends immediately when they got casted to play each other's love interest in the High School Musical series, and it didn't take long for them to start dating, and fans were more than okay with it. They were super cute. They ended up dating for 5 years, and it was a huge heartbreak for the Disney universe when their relationship came to an end back in 2010. 10 years after the series ended, they were going to do this epic 10-year anniversary with the cast, but word on the street was that Vanessa would not do it if Zac was going. In 2016, a source revealed to The Hollywood Life that, I quote, "Zac and Vanessa are on bad terms and they don't want to see each other. Things would be awkward and there would be a lot of issues that would come up and they wouldn't feel comfortable faking it in front of cameras." Luckily, Zac couldn't make it to the reunion, which fans were pretty bummed about. I wanted to see him. And whenever Vanessa is asked about him, she doesn't have anything nasty to say, she just keeps it as they simply don't talk. Alright guys, we are at number 3 with Demi Lovato and Zendaya. There has been some tension between the two girls on a few different occasions. One of them was back in 2011 when Zendaya made a joke on her show Shake It Up that poked fun at eating disorders. In the episode, her character says, I quote, "I could just eat you up. Well, if I ate." This did not sit well with Demi, who has been in rehab before for bulimia, and she took her opinion to Twitter. She said, "I find it really funny how a company can lose one of their actresses from the pressures of an eating disorder and yet still make a joke about that very disease. What are we promoting here? Hashtag not funny at all." Zendaya faced some of the heat for it because although she didn't write the script, she was okay enough to go through with the joke. Later down the road, in 2015, another issue with body image caused more tension between the two of them and their fans. One of Zendaya's biggest dreams came true when Barbie created a new doll that was inspired by her Oscars look, the silky off-white dress with dreadlocks in her hair. Everyone was congratulating her for inspiring many girls to embrace their unique looks, but the only thing Demi had to say was through a tweet. She said, "Hey at Barbie, what about a curvy doll or one with true to size measurements? All model. Hashtag raise your voice, hashtag be super." Fans were disappointed in her reaction, 1 for not congratulating Zendaya, and 2 for making it about her and body issues when this really had nothing to do with that. At number 2 we have JoMarie Payton and Jaleel White. It's probably impossible to forget about the one and only Steve Urkel, but you might forget that his show Family Matters was one of the originals on the ABC network, which we all know is operated by Disney. And once you watch the show, you know that it resembles the fun Disney Family Channel type show. But apparently family isn't only what matters, and once Jaleel's character Steve Urkel was the big talk of the town, his co-star JoMarie wasn't very happy about it. Reports have gone as far as saying that she hated him. If you haven't seen the show, she played the mother, and apparently her character was supposed to be the big star. She was actually the one who inspired the creation of the show. Her character on the show Perfect Strangers inspired this spin-off. She got so mad about Steve Urkel stealing the spotlight that she ended up quitting the show altogether. Just quit, up and left, and they ended up replacing her with another actress. Taking our number 1 spot is Amanda Bynes and Miley Cyrus. There is no denying that Amanda Bynes had a rough few years in the public eye with her bad habits, inappropriate Twitter rants, and issues with the law. We were all hella confused when she started just bashing other celebrities through Twitter. But one of them she attacked was a little more personal than other rants, and we're still not fully aware of what she had against Miley. Shortly after Miley and Liam broke up, the first time, Amanda tweeted out, "Liam Hemsworth is the most gorgeous man on the face of the earth other than Tan Watson, FYI. Thanks for sharing, Amanda?" After she faced some heat because she was supposed to be Miley's friend at the time, she ended up tweeting a direct tweet to Miley simply saying, "You're ugly," with a picture of herself, like a picture of Miley. Rumors went on years before all of this happened that Bynes and Liam actually hooked up, so you can imagine the tension that this would cause.
At number 10, Zac Efron. When you think of Zac Efron, the first thing that might pop into your head will probably be High School Musical, because that's what catapulted him to fame after all. He was one of Disney's biggest and most popular stars because of the High School Musical franchise, as the movies were so successful and his face was plastered on everything from backpacks to candy. But Zac isn't the golden boy that Disney sold him as. He's had his fair share of controversies, like his MLK Day tweet where he equated MLK's part in the civil rights movement to him reaching 10 million followers on Instagram, and shading Vanessa Hudgens when her private photos got leaked. One of the meanest and most outrageous things that Zac has done was get into a fight with homeless people living on Skid Row. Now, the details of what happened that night vary depending on who you hear it from, but essentially Zac and his friend got into a physical altercation with a group of homeless people, and according to TMZ, Zac threw a bottle at them while he was waiting for a tow truck. Some people said that this fight resulted in Zac getting punched, but again, we don't really know for sure. What we do know is that fighting is not nice, and throwing things at homeless people certainly does not make you a kind person. At number 9, Hilary Duff. When Hilary Duff was on the Disney Channel playing Lizzie McGuire, her character was very much against bullying and hate. In fact, her character faced bullying on a few occasions, so she wasn't the type of person to spread hate on her part. But in real life, Hilary is the complete opposite, and she's kind of mean. In 2018, Hilary got into a bit of a scandal as people called her out for bullying her neighbor. The actress took to her Instagram stories to rant about her rude neighbor, calling them out on how her apartment had smelled like cigarette smoke and Mary Jane because of them, and even ridiculing them on how they afford to live there, saying, quote, "We know your parents pay off your rent, we know you've never worked a day in your life, it must be nice." Hilary really just berated her neighbor publicly, calling them out on many of their actions, but what people really didn't like about this rant is how she used her neighbor's name in the videos. She plastered their name across the screen multiple times, and because of this public exposure, people saw this as bullying, and Instagram even took her videos down because they violated the platform's terms. Usually she comes across as wholesome and nice, but at this moment we got a peek at Hilary's dark side. Now before I go any further, I'd like to ask you guys to please consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, because it really helps us out a lot. At number 8, Dove Cameron. Another generally wholesome celeb who's exposed a darker, meaner side of themselves is Dove Cameron. Known by Disney fans as the actress from the Disney Channel show Liv and Maddie, and also for her role in the Descendants films, Dove is usually a really nice person online and with her fans, but there came a time when one of her tweets came across as a little harsh and she got cancelled over it. In 2018, one of Dove's fans tweeted her saying how their goal in life was to have Dove notice her, and well, that goal was achieved, but not in the way that they expected. Dove ended up replying to this fan, but instead of sharing some kind of sweet message of support, she instead told them what she really thinks about their desire to be noticed by a celebrity. Dove tweeted saying, quote, "That is a very small and unimportant life goal, and maybe if I notice you, you will realize how unfulfilling it is and turn your phone off because celebrities don't matter. Go find yourself in nature and create your own life philosophy. Aim higher, babe." End quote. People thought that this tweet was unnecessarily aggressive on Dove's part, saying that it's mean for her to essentially tell the person who helped build her career by supporting her that their support is unimportant. What do you guys think? Is it mean or not? At number 7, Christina Aguilera. When thinking about Disney stars, I think you'd have to go pretty far down the list to get to actress and singer Christina Aguilera. A lot of people forget that she was once a Disney star, having been part of the Mickey Mouse Club. Well, from her time with the mouse, things certainly have changed changed and she's become a pretty mean person. Apparently, there's a lot that makes Christina a mean person. For starters, she's had some bad blood with past members of The Voice, specifically Adam Levine. The two would fight a lot and make for an uncomfortable work environment, but that's not all. She's also had feuds with people like Pink, Mariah Carey, and even Valerie Bertinelli. Apparently, she isn't all too fun to work with either because she's kind of a diva with the way that she demands things from people, and working for her isn't much of a treat either. According to those who've worked with her, she is rude and demanding, especially to housekeeping staff, as they've said that they are treated horribly by her. All in all, she is not the nicest person ever, adding to the list of mean Disney stars. At number 6, Vanessa Hudgens. There's another High School Musical alum on this list who's earned a reputation for being mean, and that's Vanessa Hudgens. She was up there with Zac Efron being one of Disney's biggest stars from back in the days when HSM was all the rage, but much like her musical counterpart, she's not as wholesome as her on-screen character might make you think. Vanessa actually has a history of being mean, as fans have recounted stories of their rude encounters with the actress. One fan once said that Vanessa screamed at her while in a department store shopping with her then boyfriend Zac Efron because she was a fan of Zac and all she wanted to do was talk to him. Vanessa caused a scene just because she didn't want to be interrupted by a fan. A recent case of Vanessa being mean comes from her comments about the pandemic that caused her to get cancelled last year. Early on, while the world was still in their first lockdown, Vanessa made some comments about people being affected by COVID and passing away, saying that it is, quote, terrible but inevitable. A lot of people really don't like Vanessa because she just isn't a very nice person and sometimes can say the completely wrong thing. At number 5, Bella Thorne. Out of all of Disney's past actors, Bella Thorne is one of the most controversial and most hated. She's been very outspoken about her time at Disney and how they forced her to conform to a specific image, so many of her actions are tied in with that and how she's sort of rebelling against the system, if you will. But a lot of people just don't like that about her. Over the years, she's faced many scandals and controversies, like her most recent OnlyFans scam, where she not only scammed people into paying upwards of $200 for content that isn't necessarily what they were expecting, but also having greatly affected the livelihoods of other creators on the platform because of the scam, and for prompting new guidelines that affect creators' revenue. Other than that scandal, she's also faced a backlash for having used racial slurs online, cheating on her partners, and bashing other celebrities online. Recently, she released a diss track about her ex Tana Mongeau that turned into a Twitter war between them. There have also been reports of Bella stealing from people, as last year an owner of a small business called Bella out for not going through on her deal to promote her brand in exchange for $1,500 worth of jewelry. Bella just is not the nicest person out there. At number 4, Lindsay Lohan. After getting her start by starring in the 1998 Disney film The Parent Trap, Lindsay was catapulted into fame. She starred in a handful of Disney films in the early days of her career, but soon her reputation for being a good actress turned into a reputation for being a mean person and a diva. A lot of people say that Lindsay's diva attitude was caused by her gaining so much fame at such a young age. She became the stereotypical Hollywood diva, having people bow down to her and cater to her every whim with a mere mention of her name. She became known as being really bossy, thinking that she could get away with anything. This then fueled her habit of lying. She's been called out for lying about things like her drug use, all the way to making outrageous claims like having handled the preparations for the body of the late Whitney Houston. A lot of people really just question Lindsay's actions and don't really trust her because she's proven to be a little shady and mean over the years, and people just really don't like that. At number 3, Shia LaBeouf. Former Disney actor Shia LaBeouf, known for his time on Even Stevens, has also faced some controversy because of his actions. He's faced backlash for racism in the past, as he once got into a confrontation with a black police officer and told the officer that he was going to hell because of his skin color. He has also faced criticisms for plagiarism, as he's been caught stealing work from other people, from things like apologies to story plots, and has even been in a few scandals for violence, as he's been involved in many physical altercations over the years. Most recently, he faced scrutiny as his ex-girlfriend FKA Twigs came forward to talk about how he hurt her mentally and physically while in a relationship with him, recounting some of the horrible instances of abuse that she faced while with him. Shia is certainly one of the meanest people to come from Disney. At number 2, Raven-Symoné. That's So Raven star Raven-Symoné has been pretty successful since leaving Disney. She was once part of many Disney productions like The Cheetah Girls and Xenon Girl of the 21st Century, and she was always perceived as nice and family friendly, but apparently that's not exactly true. Raven Raven also has an offensive and mean side, and people got a glimpse of this when she faced scrutiny after making offensive comments while on the show The View. Raven once made a comment about people's names, saying that she wouldn't hire someone with a quote, ghetto name like Watermelon Drea. People were mad at Raven for her comments, and some people even accused her of specifically attacking black people with those comments. Though she apologized for her remarks, saying that she's been discriminated against in the hiring process because of things like her appearance, sexual orientation, and age, there were a lot of people who never quite got over what she said, and now she's seen as a mean person. And finally, at number 1, Gina Carano. This recent scandal is one of the first to affect stars affiliated with Disney through its streaming platform Disney+. Actress Gina Carano, known by Disney and Star Wars fans for her role in The Mandalorian, faced backlash because of posts shared to her Instagram stories and on Twitter. The actress shared posts comparing being a Republican to being a victim of the Holocaust, as well as posting anti-mask images and tweets, and even sharing claims of voter fraud from the presidential election in the US. Because these posts were seen as highly offensive to a lot of people, mostly fans of The Mandalorian, Gina was fired from her role on the Disney Plus series. Fans have also pulled their support from the actress because of a past scandal that she faced where she was seen as transphobic for mocking people who put their pronouns in their social media bios. Gina has garnered a reputation for being offensive, adding yet another star to the list of mean Disney actors.
Mewtwo Master 12 says, Jocelyn, do you use your hair like a whip to fend off the paparazzi? I bet it's your superpower. Admit it, lol. Keep up the great content. How did you know? That is exactly what I use my hair for. Andrea Talley says, found the video fun to watch, but as another person said, that is the price of fame, but they should respect them and give them some privacy. Well, I guess that's the big debate, right? Paparazzi comes with that lifestyle, so some people believe that celebrities don't have the right to get mad about it, but I see both sides. Mama Pink says, I'll admit I've always had a weird little crush on David Cross too. Really? I feel like I'm missing something. I have the farthest thing from a crush on him. Like whatever the opposite of a crush is, that's what I have. Dennis O'Brien says, you can move to the US, Joss. You don't need a paranormal experience as motivation either. We would welcome you, I'm sure. Well, you might, but I'm not too sure about that president of yours. Take it up with him first.